group weren't concerned about anybody being in these addresses when they were going in.
Up you go, boy. Go on, sit down. Down.
On one particular occasion, an elderly male occupant was beaten, and then on another occasion, a hammer was used, a metal bar was used. You know, what we were seeing was that the traumatic event of this invasive crime was such that individuals didn't want to return to their own home.
For 2 years, between 2018 and 2019, a gang of masked jewellery thieves looted homes across South Wales, often in broad daylight.
They fell into roughly two categories. It was either something that was easily recognised as an affluent household, or those belonging to elderly or vulnerable individuals.
D.I. Peart and his team began trawling through witness reports and CCTV.
The method in which these burglaries were being conducted was always the same, inasmuch as we'd have one individual who would sit in the vehicle, and then three individuals would go into the address. They would then target the bedrooms of the property. They would predominantly steal a pillowcase to use as their sort of carrier bag to take away the cash and jewellery, because that's the main thing they were targeting. Back into the car outside, and then make off. I categorise 156 burglaries as being committed by this organised crime group. So that was 156 crime reports.
But the gang were clever, even using bleach to destroy forensic evidence.
What was very difficult was the lack of evidence that we had in which to pursue the offenders at that time. They'd take measures to try and reduce any possibility of DNA shedding from themselves to frustrate leaving any forensic opportunities behind.
But by trawling through hundreds of hours of CCTV, detectives were able to track some of the vehicles used in the burglaries. They turned out to be stolen, but offered vital clues.
They had conducted similar basic forensic frustration techniques in the vehicles as they were displaying in people's houses, but they weren't completely successful. They could not completely remove their forensic footprint.
Meanwhile, detectives began to notice that the burglaries followed a pattern.
We would have periods of high activity, i.e. we may have 2 or 3 burglaries in one evening over a period of a week, maybe 2 weeks maximum. And then we'd have months where we would have no activity of that type.
Detectives received intelligence suggesting that during those times, the gang were moving around the UK. Further intelligence led police to a traveller's site in the Morriston area of Swansea.
Whilst there wasn't one particular kingpin, there were at least 2 individuals who, as far as we and I was concerned, were the main driving forces behind it, and that was Daniel Casey and Kieran Joyce Jr.
But detectives needed more evidence linking the gang to the burglaries.
The clothing that we identified from witness and CCTV footage was basically of a generic brand. Unbranded clothing offers us just as much as a line of inquiry as branded clothing.
Experts were able to establish that the clothing had been bought at a particular supermarket. And when they reviewed CCTV from the Joyce family's local branch, members of the family were caught on camera doing a very suspicious supermarket sweep.
In the middle of August, during a heatwave, they were buying hoodies, ski masks, scarves and gloves. You know, that stuck out like a sore thumb as far as we were concerned.
As the net closed in, the burglaries took a dark turn.
The level of violence seemed to just increase exponentially. One rather disturbing case was 2 young girls in an address, teenagers. The crime group broke into the address and they terrified them. The 2 young girls barricaded themselves in the bathroom, and they could hear, the offenders laughing and joking amongst themselves. whilst they're rummaging through their bedrooms and their parents' bedrooms.
With the safety of the public his paramount concern, D.I. Peart was left with no other choice but to launch a dawn raid.
Which involved over 200 officers and staff, different departments, from the helicopter to dogs to the traffic department. I think if I'd had a submarine, I'd have had a submarine. The caravans and the actual site, we did recover over 350 useful exhibits. One particular caravan had a hidden cupboard, really, but it was disguised as part of the flooring, and that had a significant amount of cash in it. In one of the ovens, we found what we classed as a burglary kit, which was the screwdrivers, crowbars, gloves, tape. We recovered significant items of jewellery, particularly some Asian gold. Mrs. Joyce Senior, as in the mum, was actually wearing stolen jewellery on the day of the raid.
Kieran Joyce was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and Daniel Casey received just under 7 years. In total, Operation Timea secured 10 convictions.
We estimated they had in the region of £900,000 worth of stolen property. To be able to get justice for those victims and take this organised crime group off the streets was incredibly satisfying.